Why does Sheikh Hamdan look so sad in every photo? You have noticed it. I know you have. Because everyone who follows him long enough eventually sees it. You are scrolling through his photos, the horses, the desert, the sky, the moments that look like freedom, and something stops you. Not the beauty of the image, not the location or the adventure or the caption underneath. Something in his face, something in his eyes specifically. A heaviness that does not match the life he is supposed to be living. A sadness that sits just underneath the surface of every smile, every composed expression, every moment where he looks directly into the camera and the camera looks back and captures something he probably never intended to share. You see it. Millions of women see it. And today I am going to tell you exactly what it is. Sheikh Hamdan has everything. That is what the world says. And the world is not wrong, technically. He has wealth that most people cannot imagine. He has a title that commands respect in every room he enters. He has a city, one of the most breathtaking cities on earth, that will one day be his responsibility to lead. He has talent. He has intelligence. He has a face that has made him one of the most recognized and admired public figures in the entire world. By every external measure, Sheikh Hamdan, Fazza, is living a life that billions of people would trade their own for without a second thought. And yet, the eyes always tell a different story. And his tell a story that the official version of his life has never been able to fully cover up. Because sadness, real, deep, lived sadness, does not disappear just because everything around you looks beautiful. It does not leave because you are standing on a mountain or flying through the sky or riding a horse across an open desert. It stays. It settles into the face of a person the way time settles into old wood, quietly, permanently, and in a way that becomes part of the grain. To understand why Hamdan looks the way he looks, you have to understand what he has been asked to carry. Not the public responsibilities, not the weight of a crown or the future of a city. Those things are heavy, yes, but they are the kind of heavy that a person can be trained to manage. What Hamdan carries that cannot be trained away, cannot be managed with preparation or strategy or public relations, is something much more personal. He has been asked more than once to choose between the life he wanted and the life he was born into. And every single time, the crown has won. And the man underneath the crown has paid the price. He loved someone long before his marriage, before 2019, before any of the arrangements and alliances and royal decisions that shaped his adult life. He loved her quietly, privately, in the way people love when they are young, and still believe that feelings are enough to build a future on. He wrote poems for her, real poems, the kind that carry the fingerprints of actual emotion rather than the smooth surface of something composed for public consumption. And then his father made a decision. The Crown Prince of Dubai needed a particular kind of marriage, not a love marriage, a strategic one. And what Hamdan wanted was set aside without ceremony. That was the first time the sadness moved in. The first time it found a place in his face and decided to stay. Because loving someone and being asked to walk away from them, not because the love died, not because something went wrong between you, but simply because a title demanded it, leaves a mark, a visible one. Anyone paying close enough attention has been able to see it from that moment forward. His arranged marriage to Sheikha Shaika bint Saeed Al Thani lasted in the way that things last when they are held together by obligation rather than feeling. He was present, he was respectful, but the part of him that makes his poetry so raw and so real, the part that feels things too deeply to hide them completely, that part was never fully inside the marriage. It was somewhere else. And Sheikha could feel it. And eventually the truth surfaced. And the marriage fell apart, and the sadness that had already been sitting in his eyes got a little heavier. Then came the chapter that gave him something back, briefly. He went to the woman he had always loved, married her privately, had children with her, and the people who followed him closely during that period noticed something shift. The poems changed slightly, still melancholy, still deep, but with a different undertone. Something warmer, something that felt, for the first time in a long time, like a man who had found a place to rest. The sadness was still there, but it had a little more company, a little more warmth around its edges. But it did not last. The political pressures that came after the death of Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, the expectations his father placed on him, the requirements of his role as the future ruler of Dubai, all of it came back around. The woman he loved had to leave. The children went with her. And Hamdan returned to the public stage, carrying everything he had briefly been allowed to set down. That is when the sadness in his photos became what it is now. Not just the sadness of a man who lost something once, the sadness of a man who lost something, found it again, and then lost it a second time. That specific kind of grief, the kind that comes from having hope and then watching hope leave again, is the heaviest kind there is. It does not lift. It does not soften with time the way simpler losses sometimes do. It deepens. It becomes part of how a person moves through the world, part of how they hold their face when they think nobody is studying them closely enough to notice. But people notice. Women especially notice. Because women who have followed Hamdan long enough have developed a kind of fluency in reading him that goes beyond what any caption or official statement provides. They see the photographs and they read them the way you read a person's face across a room. Not what they are saying, but what they are holding back. And what Hamdan is always holding back is too large for any photograph to fully contain, and too real for any performance to completely conceal. He smiles when the moment calls for a smile. He is composed when composure is required. He shows up to every prayer, every ceremony, every public event with the grace and dignity that his position demands. But the camera, in its honesty, catches what the performance cannot cover. It catches the weight behind the eyes, the slight distance in his gaze, the look of a man who is present in the room but living privately somewhere else entirely. That is why Sheikh Hamdan looks sad in every photo. Not because he is broken, not because he has given up, but because he is a man who has felt everything deeply, lost things that mattered enormously, and chosen every single time to carry it quietly rather than let the world see him come apart. The sadness is not weakness, it is the cost of dignity, the cost of duty, the cost of being a man who loves fully in a life that has never fully allowed it. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Every week, I bring you closer to the real story of Sheikh Hamdan, the story behind the photos, the truth behind the eyes.